I knew this weekend would be great. Last time we played Strive, it was so amazing that I've been looking forward to this new beta ever since the last one ended. And I did have a great time, but I didn't expect to find the game so close to release to still be in such a rough state. Guys, this is what happens after an open beta. The servers close and we go back to withdrawals. The game that consumed our lives for a full weekend isn't here anymore. It's gone back in the oven, and this time we won't have to wait long to play it again. This beta saw a lot of improvements over the last one, but also a couple of things that were a little bit scary. From what I played, I don't think this game is ready to ship in a month. The rough edges that are still there can be really rough, and I guess that's where we'll start. Let's talk about the lobby again. Now, I've made my peace with this lobby system. I may not like it, it's a weird decision that every player has voiced their opinion against, but for some reason, ArcSys really believes in this and is not willing to change it. And you can be 100% sure that this change is not gonna happen now, a month before release. So I've made my peace with it, we're gonna have to suffer through it. And to be fair, they did improve the lobby in a few interesting ways. First of all, there are stations in the lobby now, so when you queue for a match, you'll teleport to the nearest station, whereas previously it just looked like you were teleporting to a random place. The stations make it a lot more obvious where you're gonna land now. Also, that big news section to the right, you can just hide it now, which makes the lobby look a lot cleaner. It's not super cluttered anymore, even though they keep bringing back the news section every time you leave the lobby. So if you go into training mode or if you move to a different lobby, bam, the news section is back out again. Great, thanks. At least all I have to do is press a single button and it's gone, but damn, it's annoying. Stop bringing it back. And that really is the thing with this lobby. It's, yeah, stuff works, but damn is it annoying. And I wouldn't be talking about the lobby again or feel as bad about it if it actually worked, but it feels a lot more unstable now. I spent most of my time queued up in training mode just like the previous beta, because going from match into training with no loading screens is still a godlike feature that every single fighting game should have. But sometimes the game would kick me out of training mode and back into the lobby because it couldn't find a match. This never happened in the first open beta, but I got this error multiple times during this one. And the fix was just to enter training mode and matchmake again. All I did was go back to training and it fixed itself. Why did it kick me out? And now there's also a new error, and this one's funny, where it won't start matchmaking because of the match limit in the lobby. Like, what do you mean the match limit? This never happened in Parks, because in Parks you can clearly see how many players are there, so you just go into a lobby that isn't full. But in Ranked, you don't pick the lobby. You're assigned the lobby according to your skill level. And this message never persisted for too long. It was a matter of just, you know, trying to queue up a bunch of times until it went away. And yes, this is a beta, there are some issues that will be fixed, but this message was coded by someone. It will be in the final game, which means the match limit is a thing that exists. And the only reason there's a match limit is because you made ranked matches take place in a lobby that no one asked for and no one likes. I swear that every beta, the lobby system just comes up with a new issue, which makes me really scared of what the final game will look like. But they did fix some stuff. It doesn't take as long to start a match anymore, and after you're done, your character isn't stuck in an animation that takes ages to end. It's a lot faster that way. Glad to see that fixed. It was an issue on the last open beta, and I guess your lobby character can now drop kick if you want. Oh, and how could I forget? Rematches. They've added rematches thanks to the feedback we gave in the last beta, as if it wasn't planned from the start. And in casual lobbies, you can rematch as many times as you want. In Ranked, it's a bit weird. You can play 3 matches no matter who wins. It's not a best of 3 set or a best of 5, it's 3 matches. So let's say you win the first 2, you're winning 2-0. No matter who wins the next one, the set is over. So it could end 3-0 or 2-1. I agree with the choice to keep rematches limited in Ranked, but I don't know how to feel about this 3-match system instead of an actual set. And that's it, lobby rant over. You're probably tired of listening to me or other influencers talk about the lobby system. No one likes it, yeah. They made some changes, but no one likes it still. Almost like the feedback that we gave in the first closed beta should have been taken a bit more seriously. And since they only added rematches because we asked for it, I have to ask for another feature that seems very obvious, and that's spectating matches. There's no way to spectate matches right now, and I hope they are planning for that for the full game. With the online being this good, not being able to spectate matches is gonna kill the chance to host any online tournaments, and that's just a huge waste given how good the netcode is. Please give us spectate. But let's talk about the game and the online, because that is definitely the best part of Guilty Gear Strive. Gameplay wise, the game received some improvements and some changes that I didn't really like, but overall I still love Guilty Gear Strive for what it is. The first change we're going to talk about was one that had people worried. After doing some air actions like air dashing, you now have landing recovery. This turned out not to be a big deal because the recovery is really small. I did notice the change. I got clipped while landing a couple of times, but I think that's fair. Jump ins were crazy powerful. This is a good change in my book. I don't agree with how they changed the jump itself though. Just jumping in neutral has a bit less horizontal movement. Air dashing forward is still fine. That seems largely unchanged. But air dashing backwards? What is that? It's like no distance at all. I think overall this nerfed movement makes moving in the game a bit less fun. I understand the philosophy behind it. Guilty Gear is all about discouraging running away and moving towards your opponent. And they do this with a couple of systems like the meter penalty, but damn, you didn't have to do the backwards air dash like that. They also buffed anti-airs. Your forward punch button is now a lot better. Not every character has a great forward punch, and I think that's good. With some characters, you'll have an easier time countering jump-ins. With others, you'll have to focus on some of their other strengths. But I also think they maybe took it a step too far with forward punch, because now it even counters some moves on the ground, and that's a bit weird. This happens because Guilty Gear's anti-air button isn't air invulnerable. When you down heavy something in fighters, you're invulnerable to moves your opponent does in the air. In Guilty Gear, that's not quite how it works. Your anti-air, your forward punch, has upper body invincibility. You can still get hit by moves from the air if they target your legs, but your upper body is invincible. This is how Guilty Gear has always worked, and it sort of feels like a legacy feature that has to be carried over to Strive. Thanks to that invincibility, you can now dodge projectiles with forward punch. It's easier for some characters. I like having my forward punch be a reliable anti-air, but countering a high attack coming from the ground just doesn't feel fair. Is this something that can be fixed? Maybe, but I honestly don't know, because instead of having a normal anti-air like most other games have, Guilty Gear has this upper body invincibility thing, which makes it unnecessarily complicated. Another good change was to wall breaks. Previously, if you splat the opponent on a wall and they had low health, you needed a super in order to kill them. Now you can kill the opponent even without a super, and that's a very welcome change. Any attack can do it. No longer will your opponent survive with just a pixel of health because you didn't super. And finally, we got the last two characters that are gonna be at the launch roster. That's Anji and Ino. I focused mainly on Anji, but also played against a lot of Ino players, and I gotta say I really like them. They feel super unique. There's a reason why you should pick them over other characters and vice versa. And Anji specifically, I think I might main him on release. He was a lot of fun. Towards the end of the beta, I was really feeling like I could be creative with my combos, my pressure, my neutral. Anji is a very enabling character, probably only topped by Soul Bad Guy right now. Jam did a video recently that I thought was really good. Make more characters as fun as Soul. Every Soul is having the time of their life in Strive because Soul feels very expressive. You have a ton of routes that work with him, and it feels like you can just make stuff up on the fly when you're playing as Soul. And a lot of it is because of his forward slash, a very good command normal that combos from a lot of his fast buttons. And while I agree that more characters should feel as fun as Soul, I did start to feel that a little bit with Anji towards the end of the beta. Now, we obviously didn't have as much time to explore Anji as we had with Soul, who's been there since the first closed beta, and I don't know if Anji will ever feel as free as Soul is with his combo routes, but I was definitely feeling it towards the end of the beta because just like Soul, he has a few things that most other characters do not. For instance, Anji can low kick into down dust and confirm into one of his special moves, and this special, if it's close to the corner, gives him dust loops. And all of this without even getting into counter hits. His special move Fujin has different properties whether you press the button or hold it, which also sets up for some fun situations. And in my last matches in this beta, I am particularly happy with this situation right here. As soon as I hit my opponent, I noticed that he's airborne, so I confirm into Fujin overhead, which normally doesn't combo, but I knew from labbing other combos that if the opponent was airborne, it would. Now, I didn't know what to do after that, but I was able to link it with a slash into Fujin again, getting the wall splat and huge damage. This feeling that the more I play a character and the more comfortable I get with their buttons, the more creative I can get with combos, even creating new combo routes mid-match. It's such an amazing feeling, and I think Strive really enables that, so I totally share Jam's opinion. Make more characters as fun as Soul, and I think Anji might be one of them. Last but not least, let's talk about the netcode. It's still the best netcode I've ever seen in a fighting game, I want to make that very clear. But for the first time, we saw that netcode shake a little bit. During the first day of the open beta, some weird stuff was happening. Even in a very controlled environment, when I was playing a friend from the UK, we had our matches freeze a bunch of times. Even when playing Rene, when we're both in the same tiny ass country, you look at the rollback frames and you gotta ask, what the hell is happening there? Rollback frames going up doesn't mean that the game is suddenly rolling back 6 frames, it just means that that's the maximum number of frames that it can roll back to. But seeing the indicator acting up like that kinda confirmed that something was going on with the servers and potentially was causing those stutters in the previous match. Now, of course, there's Wi-Fi players as well. Not every match is going to be great because no matter the netcode, if your internet isn't stable, the match isn't going to magically be stable. That's going to happen at launch and there's kind of no way to work around that. But both of these examples are players that I know are using an Ethernet cord and they are not that far away from me. I didn't expect the netcode to shake this bad, but it seems that even Guilty Gear can have its off days. And I was also finally able to test the connection from Portugal to the furthest place in the world, Australia. I had tested some matches against Japan in the previous beta, but Australia always felt out of reach in other fighting games. So when I finally played against an Australian, the results weren't great. The whole match is stuttery. It's hard to look at even, so imagine playing like this. Thing is, this could actually be a smooth experience, even at this distance. ArcSys confirmed that they're doing a fixed 1-frame delay for online matches. Adding a fixed delay to a rollback netcode game helps the rollback be a lot more stable. But from Portugal to Australia, that 1 frame might not be enough. If we had the option to increase the delay buffer, maybe we could have had a smooth experience. And I don't know if ArcSys is willing to give players that power because they're trying to make it as simple as possible. They want you to jump into an online match and not have to worry about that stuff. But that's gonna make matches between Europe and Australia impossible when the game is actually very capable of doing it. And this isn't just about Europe to Australia. The distance is similar between United States and Eastern Europe or Russia. I imagine the situation would be similar there. With the option to increase the buffer, the whole world would be able to play this game smoothly, and we're so close to that dream. All that's stopping us from getting there is that little input delay option. Overall, I'm still very in love with the game. I can't wait for the full release, but being this close to launch and still finding all of these rough edges has me worried. At this point, and this is not a popular opinion, I wouldn't mind them delaying the game again. I have zero faith that they'll be able to iron out all the lobby issues. Even sticking to their vision, there will be issues by release. But I do have hope that some of the features that they're holding back will clear away a lot of these problems, especially if they add adjustable delay, they tweak the forward punch and air movement, and a few characters could really use some better command normals to allow for more player creativity. But that's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours as well. What do you think of Guilty Gear Strive in its current state? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku and I'll see you next time. Bye!